Hey guys, welcome to part 5 of our lighting tutorial of the USS Defiant. This is going to be our final video. As you can see here, we have our Defiant model all completed. Decals are on, all clear coated with our flat coat. Normally I do it in a clear coat, but I decided to do flat this time, and I'm actually pretty happy with how much it blends everything together. I can still see a little shine in the decals, but that's not a problem. I'm pretty happy with the base color. I know there's a few painting flaws here and there. I'll probably go at it later if I really want to, but otherwise this is the model that's gonna be displayed, completed. I'll go ahead and turn on the lights. As you can see, right now the chip is not installed because it's still just the yellow wire connected to the power, but you can see all the strobe lights that's gonna go on, our Raytheon effect. For my eyes, it's looking pretty decent. I have a little bit of a fade on the sides here, but the camera, it probably is going to blow out a little bit. So for my first attempt, it's not bad. I have a couple other spots here for glow effects here in the back. Of course, I've got the blue circles in the top, the bizarres, the deflector, of course, all that. There's the bottom with the two little spotlights in the front, the strobes. So all in all, pretty happy with how it turned out. But now it's time to complete the model. Before anything, after I would normally do this before I would clear coat, but before you finish your model, because right now if you look at the windows underneath, you can probably see just the LED kind of poking through, like the impulse LED, and then all the other spots here, they're just kind of, you kind of peek inside, you can see the inside of the model. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take something like this micro crystal clear. It's going to be a really thick kind of mixture or whatever. So what I do is I just apply it over to basically fill it up. Obviously we need to clean it up, because right now if you leave it like that, it's just going to look like a big clear gloopy mess over. So just grab like Q-tip or something and just gently wipe off the excess. Don't get it too wet, or you're gonna just wipe off whatever you just did to the windows you did cover. And there we go. That's gonna dry up, and those are basically gonna be our porthole windows. I'm gonna go ahead and do the rest real quick. All right, while the windows are drying, I'm going to show you how I'm going to prepare the model and the display stand for all of our lighting. Now, what I like to use, if a model doesn't provide it, is this brass tubing. I get this on Amazon. Like, I get a lot of things like these plugs here. You just probably find them in a hardware store. This one specifically is 30 centimeters, about a foot long by 5 millimeters, and I believe it's about a 1 millimeter thickness, or maybe about ½ millimeter, I can't tell offhand, but this is what I usually use. This is obviously because it's hollow. To cut it down to size, I usually use one of these pipe cutters. I don't know if this is supposed to be mounted in anything or if I even use it correctly, but usually the way I use it is I'll put the pipe right about where I want to cut it. For this, since I'm going to be doing a ball joint, it's going to have a little extra length. And with the display stand, I do have a hole cut out on the bottom, and then I have a larger hole cut out here for the plug. I'm probably going to epoxy it in just like this, so it's still poking out, but it's not gonna cause the stand to rise up. So I'm gonna probably cut right about here, and then I just twist it till it gets tough enough to where it's on, but you could still turn it. So I'll turn the pipe all the way around, and then I'll tighten it up a little bit again, and I'll just keep repeating this just a little bit more. You can see it's cutting the more you twist in, and eventually you get a separated pipe. Now it does kind of push in a little bit on the edges, so what I like to do is take my file here, the circular one I got here, and I'll just go ahead and sand it a little bit on the inside just to kind of get the hole back the way it was. And then I'll just file the end here just to get rid of the jagged edges there. So that's essentially our display stand. It's gonna go right here. Usually I try to kind of push it through. I have the hole drilled about 4 millimeters, even though it's 5 millimeters, just because I want to try to force it through. I'll probably just do that off camera. It looks a little short right now, but because we're gonna attach the ball joint, oops, this should be the other way around. Attach the ball joint to this, it's gonna get an extra like inch in height, so it's gonna end up sitting about like this, so that's about the height. And then if it drops down a little bit with the friction, there we go. So usually I can get it stuck by friction. If not, usually it just drops to the very bottom, and then you can probably epoxy it just to make it not move or whatever. That's your choice, but that's how it stands. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take one end of the ball joint, the one that's gonna go into the model, gonna loop our wires through. Pretty tight fit, but I'm going to be cementing it in just to make sure that it does not move ever again. That's set. For the brass stand, attaching the ball joint, I have this jeweler's glue here. My husband just happened to have on hand, so I'm gonna take this epoxy and just dab it a little bit on the outside. Careful, of course, not to touch it, because this will make your fingers stick together in not a great way. There we go. I'm going to take a Q-tip just to wipe off the excess here. Sticking in the hole. I'll probably, once I finish the model, just probably put an epoxy on that myself just to keep it at a certain height. While I wait for that to dry, for now I'm going to keep this off just because I'm going to need to wire that once the display stand goes on. while we're letting everything set, I wanted to show off the Tenet control board. This is the multi-mission timing board. As you can see, there's a bunch of prongs here. This correlates with which timing you want. There will be instructions provided on which one will provide which. I think it's like a double strobe, Enterprise D&E, Voyager, refit, and TOS, and then it provides actually an additional slide here if you want to do the 1/356 scale USS Grissom, which has its own timing. Usually all four of these wires would be in play here. The two here will be, of course, your power. The yellow will be your strobe, and the whites would be your navs. However, on the Defiant, the navs are static, so this wire will not be used whatsoever. It's just going to be these three wires. I'm going to go ahead and connect these together. Be very, very careful. Do not short your wires when this chip is connected, otherwise you will damage the chip and it will not function properly. I have done that a couple times and it is not fun. Being nearly completed with a project and then you screw up your chip. So please be careful, don't do it. Hopefully I won't do it as a demonstration because I do not want to demonstrate it, but I at least want to demonstrate what the strobes are going to look like once the control chip is connected to power. So do this real carefully, put you here, put you right there so you're not touching anything, put you right there. Try to push this mess out of the way, turn on the power, and as you can see, we now have strobes on the top and on the bottom. The navs will stay completely still because they're connected to just the main power. They're not connected to a special wire or anything. But yeah, that's what it's gonna look like. This will just get attached to the bottom of the display stand. We're just gonna epoxy it. So just to preserve the chip, I'm gonna take it off here. I'm really happy these chips exist because it makes it so much easier to do this without knowing, you know, how to program your own chip or anything. It's already done. This, guy Tenet Controls does it, you know, I don't know if he does it by himself or whatever, but provides it really cheap. It's like $14, and like with shipping it's like $20. You can buy them in a pack of 5, which I'm probably going to do since I just lined up like 4 projects for myself. But this is such a useful little chip. It just brings to life so many of my ships. This is what I exclusively use for my models. The only exception is the Strange New Worlds Enterprise. Same person from Tenet Controls. I just used a special board that was for specifically the Strange New Worlds Enterprise. But that is what we're going to use. Once this dries up, we will continue on in a moment. All right, I've already got a couple of wires pre-done. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to connect them to this female plug adapter here. This is my first time using these. Generally, I just have these with already wires coming out of them, and I just sort of splice wires in. This one, I believe you just unscrew these, and then you just put the wire in. I'm going to fold it in just to see if we can get in here, and I believe you just screw it in with a screwdriver. Okay, it seems to be holding. Go ahead and do the other one real quick. test this real fast. We're gonna plug in our 9-volt adapter here just to make sure that this connection is stable. I'm just gonna plug it in. And there we go, we got power going through there, through that 9-volt adapter. It's just barely hanging on right now, so it's not gonna, these connections are gonna be great, but we're gonna remedy that right now. Let's go ahead and take these off. All right, so we're gonna take the plug and put it into our hole here. Totally ignore that one. That was a mess up here, so I went ahead and carved a new square shaped hole, which I can pretty much friction fit here, and it won't interfere with the bottom. So with that installed, I'm just gonna put that here so it doesn't rock around. And set you aside for the moment. And we're just gonna epoxy in our lovely control board here. Right about here. So that it doesn't interfere with the bottom. All right, so we're gonna now loop the wires through the rod here. For the moment, we're not going to socket in that joint yet. Keep it out. Go ahead and loop the wires through. Probably going to terminate the wires right about here. Now again, the white one's not going to get used at all, so we're just going to have to kind of tuck that away once we get everything together. And again, like with putting the two halves of the model together, you're going to want to put your shrink tubing on before you start making your connections. prep and finalize it, I'm just going to make one last test here with the power adapter. Perfect, and everything's working. Take this out for the moment. Bring this back over. Finish grabbing this. I'm just going to give these wires a quick epoxy resin on the bottom. Just to keep the wires in place. Alright. We'll go ahead and insert our ball joint. And there we have it. We have now finished our model. Go ahead and plug it back into power. Here we have all of our strobes functioning, our Raytheon effect, all pivoting on a ball joint, and our power source. And there we have it. I wanted to compare my two Defiants side by side, my first version and my second version. Overall, it's self-evident how much better this one is over this one. This one, the base color is way too dark. The only lighted details in the top is the top lights here. Let me turn off the lights here so you can see the difference a little bit better. The effect is a little more subtle. I might have to go in and kind of clean it up a little bit, but here it's a little more bright. Of course, you don't have the effects here. You don't have the Raytheon effect. Even the windows, like I drilled out the windows on the side just like I did with this one, but for some reason, maybe it's because I only used a single LED in the very front, but it's not very prominent. Just comparing the deflectors here. I think I think I only used white LEDs for this model here. I didn't use any color LEDs. As you can see with the red LEDs on the right model, the color is a little more richer. Probably similar to the back here if I were to flip this around. It's a little more dim in this one, I think because I used 5mm LEDs for this one. I also used like a packing material kind of to diffuse on this one. This one I of course just used white paint to diffuse. I have the bulb kind of right back here. That's why you can kind of see a hot spot. The impulse engines, I think I screwed, like when I did this one, I don't know if I overpainted them or something, but like they're like barely glowing. But I also have two LEDs like right directly behind the impulse engines. Just flip it over carefully. Of course, you can see the windows are still there. I did the windows on this one, on the left one, but of course you can see the strobes, you can see those little spotlights. Even though I'm not a fan of some of the painting I did, painting is just a weakness of mine overall. I am so happy with how the redo came out. I'm really happy I was able to do this as a lighting tutorial for you all. So because this is such a simple model to start off with, like when I did this, it's literally, like I said in the first video, it's just stripped LEDs and like one LED here and then two here, and then everything else is like light, like just the LED strip carrying the lights. So even with the upgrades, it's still a simplistic build. Like you could still do this on your own, and I hope with this tutorial you can do it on your own. So that's it. Just gonna stick this new one on the shelf in this one's place. This one probably will just hang out in the garage and just chill out. But thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.